Afternoon, everybody. You are cordially welcome to the annual info occasion for the Finnish Cultural Foundation for the grant application procedures. So the idea of the whole event is that we help you to start writing and also completing the forms that you find in the online system. And in this info, we are going to provide a lot of information related to these issues. But let me first introduce myself and the others who are here participating. My name is Timo Vuorisalo, and I work for the Southwest Finland Cultural Fund, which is one of the provincial or regional funds here in Finland. In addition to myself, I have two magnificent colleagues here who are helping in answering some parts of the questions and also providing some basic info. Päivikki is there somewhere.
Good evening.
And Erika also hopefully there.
Yeah, I am. Hey.
Okay, hello. So myself and Päivikki and Erika are going to be the speakers in this info. But this is not all. There are a lot of people who know our grant system very well in the background answering questions, and I would also like to introduce those people who are helping you with answers to your questions in the chat and in the background. In the questions and answers section that you can see there in the below in the panel. So we have Laura there.
Hello.
Thank you, Sari.
Hello.
Mika.
Moi.
Moi. And Ella.
Hello.
And Kati.
Hello.
Kati is hiding somewhere, but okay. And Pia.
Hello.
And Anu is there organizing the whole of this questions and answers section. So Anu.
Hello, everybody.
Okay, thank you. So now we know who are here involved. And please, can I get the first slide? Yes, and this was just the title of the event. So we are indeed in the grant info in the English language, and this is the first slide that has, in a way, real contents. Yeah, you see the map of Finland on the right-hand side, and you see different colors there. They are representing our different regional funds. Unlike some other foundations in Finland who are supporting arts and sciences, the Cultural Foundation has a hierarchical structure. We have a central fund located, having its headquarters in Helsinki, and then we have 17 regional funds. So when you are listening to this info, please note where you are located, because that is basically maybe the province in which you are applying for your grant. One detail is that the Åland Islands are actually belonging to the Southwest Finland or Varsinais-Suomi regional fund. I would also like to point already at this phase that in Uusimaa, only arts are supported. So please do not send to Uusimaa Regional Fund any scientific applications. But anyway, we are present in every part of the country, and you are most welcome to send your application, whatever is your location here. Can I have the next slide? Okay, this is actually the program of this event. And you can see from this slide the list of questions that are going to be covered here in the info. And of course, later when we have open questions, more open there for the audience, you can ask anything else also. I will first start with some very general outlines. And after me, Päivikki will continue with two topics, and after her, Erika, also with two topics, and I will conclude this info by some practical guidelines concerning evaluation and writing grants, and also some summary and so on. Can I have the next slide, please? Okay, here we have some statistics about the grants and grantees of the Finnish Cultural Foundation. Before going to these details, it is good to note that we get a lot of applications each year. The central fund and the provincial funds combined, certainly more than 20,000 each year. And here we can see what happens in the end to the applications. In the center, you see that the success rates for sciences and arts are around 10%. Not extremely high, but still, of course, not hopeless. But I will return to these figures later in the info. The sex ratio seems to be female biased. Clearly, more female applicants have been successful than males. Private individuals, for their working grants, most often with some expenditure grants, of course, also very often combined, get about two-thirds of the grants, working groups 15%, and organizations 1/5 approximately. But the interesting part here is the pink area on the right top. There seems to be no age discrimination in the Finnish Cultural Foundation because the youngest grantee recently has been 11 years old and the oldest 78. So before entering the working life, you can apply if you have a good reason for that. And actually, most of these very young grantees are musicians who need a new instrument or something like that, or maybe some training abroad or similar expenses covered. And also retired people can apply. That is possible. We can assume that this person with 78 years very likely has been retired for some years earlier. But from the right bottom, you can see that our typical applicant is maybe between 20 and 40 years old. But indeed, whatever is your age and wherever in the country you are residing or doing your work, you are most welcome to apply. Can I have the next slide, please? Yeah, here we can see some statistics on the successful grants. I think in the last round, almost 200 full-year grants were granted and 172 half-year grants. And then also nearly 200 grants for organizing events. And some applications have been very successful in the sense that they have received at least 40,000 euros. These are usually so-called spearhead projects that Päivikki will explain later what that means. Or sorry, I think it's Erika, yeah. And in the bottom line, you see that grants have been given to applicants in 160 municipalities. I think this is approximately half of the number of municipalities in the country. And it really means that we are present in every corner of Finland. And so you apply from everywhere, and hopefully be successful. So I think that this was my general outline, and I would now like to invite Päivikki to tell us about who can apply and what kinds of grants you can apply. So please, Päivikki.
Well, thank you, Timo. And next slide, please. Yes, thank you, Sami. Well, as a rule of thumb, eligible applicants are Finnish nationals and people and organizations residing and operating in Finland. Of course, others are eligible as well, provided they have strong connections or ties to Finland or Finnish cultures. As the January round is for regional funds, the eligibility criteria are a bit stricter. Applicants are eligible when residing or born in the region. Their scientific or artistic work takes place in or is focused on the region. So the stronger the ties are, the better. Grants can be applied from all 17 funds, with one exception I think Timo mentioned earlier. Uusimaa Fund is the fund where only art grants can be applied for, not science grants. So 17 funds to arts and 16 funds to science. What comes to applicants, there are three types of applicants. They're private individuals, working groups, and registered organizations. Sole traders apply as private individuals, not as a registered organization. As a private individual, you can submit an application to only one regional fund, so choose wisely. In addition to your own application, you can be a member of a working group, but not as a person in charge, or was it said as a responsible person in guidelines. The previously mentioned restrictions doesn't apply to registered organizations. They can submit as many applications as needed. We ask you, you can use either Finnish or English when you write your application, but we ask you to write the subject of your work in Finnish. And can I have the next slide, please? So there are two types of grants, working grant and expenditure grant. So let's begin with the working grant. The purpose of the working grant is to give you the opportunity to focus on your own project, free from your other work. So it covers your ordinary personal living cost over a certain period of time. And the fixed measurement of time and euros are at a monthly level, and you can find a detailed table in the guidelines. The most common grant is 32,000 euros for full-time and full-year work. And for postdoctoral level, the grant is 4,000 euros higher. It's 36,000 euros for research. Quite often we are asked about the taxation. Grants are tax-free under certain conditions. If you are unsure about your situation, please contact tax authorities. We don't know your situation, so we can't give the updated information. And there's another note as well about the insurances. So Mela insurance is mandatory, and Mela stands for the Farmer Social Insurance Institution. You should reserve approximately to 15 to 25% of the grant amount for Mela payment, and you have to organize the payment by yourself. Finnish Cultural Foundation doesn't do that. And there's one limitation to working grants, and that concerns basic degree students. They are not eligible to apply for working grant. They can apply only expenditure grants. and the sum of the expenditure grant goes up to 4,000 euros, and those are to cover extraordinary costs of the dissertation work, and examples are like field work abroad or very expensive materials. And the next one, please. If you can't work or your project doesn't require full-time working, a part-time grant is also possible. The categories are 75, 50 and 25, as you can see from the slide. You can also find the fixed table of percentages and euros in the guidelines. Go and check there. And if your work is even more irregular or intermittent than these percentages, you can choose a working period of less than 4 months. But whatever your part-time category is, you choose this 24, 25, 50 or 70, don't forget the mandatory MELA insurance. The only exception is the category less than 4 months. If you choose that one, then no legal need for MELA insurances. And the next one, please. Multi-year grants are also possible from Finnish Cultural Foundation, and they are up to 4 years or 48 months. They are open to individuals and working groups for scientific or artistic work. If you have applied for a multi-year grant, your application will not be rejected if such grant is not available this year. The grant may be awarded for a shorter period of time than applied for, so don't worry. Go for multi-year if that is what you need. This multi-year grant decision process differs a bit between the individuals and working groups. While groups are granted funding in one decision, individuals must prepare a continuation application for each additional year, and that can be done in the online service for grantees. And the next one, please. First, we talk about the working grant, and the second type is expenditure grant. And this expenditure grant is intended for larger expenses, which are essential for the work or to carry out your project. For example, instruments, tools, special very expensive materials, very expensive licenses for database use, fees, etc. Please note that the stress is on the word larger. Expenditure grant is not intended for bus or train tickets on daily basis, and it cannot be applied for statutory MELA insurances. If you're planning to apply for expenditure grant, you need to prepare a very detailed and comprehensive budget. It's mandatory, and you cannot submit your application without this budget additional whatever it was. Well, Erika will tell you more about how to make a very detailed budget for the attachment. Well, the good news is that both working grant and expenditure grant can be applied in the same application. So you don't need 2 applications. Well, actually, you can't send as a private person 2 applications for the same purpose. So if you need working grant and expenditure grant, they go together in the same application form. Registered organizations may apply only for expenditure grant, and if it's applied for salaries and fees, please don't forget to include the labor expenses. As mentioned before, basically students can apply only for expenditure grants up to 4,000 euro for extraordinary costs. So this was pretty brief overview, Timo. For more information, we just suggest that you go to the guidelines and straight to the application form to find out more.
So thank you very much, Päivikki. So now I hope you all know what kind of costs you can include in your application and what they mean. But there are some more special types of grants, and I now invite Erika to tell us about the special purpose grants. Please, Erika.
Thank you, Timo. Sami, would you still show us the previous slide? Thank you. I wanted to keep this on your screens there so that your thoughts wouldn't go too far in the details yet. So my task is to give you an overview on the special purpose grants the Finnish Cultural Foundation offers this spring in this January round of applications. And to explain a bit the difference between a special purpose grant and the regular working and expenditure grants that were just presented to you by Päivikki, I want to underline or emphasize the fact that working grants and expenditure grants are the two grant types offered by the foundation. And this applies also to the special purpose grants. So they are, in essence, as well, either working grants or expenditure grants. So this isn't an additional type of a grant, but instead, the special purpose grants are funding that the foundation has earmarked for specific purposes. So this is the difference. And when it comes to our regular grants, you can be working in arts or sciences or in culture in a more broader sense. And under these themes, almost everything is possible. So for our regular grants, you are welcome to propose to the foundation whatever you wish within arts, sciences, or culture. But for the special purpose grants, the Finnish Cultural Foundation has set specific rules on who can apply, what kind of grants can be applied, or what kinds of projects you can propose to the foundation. So this is the essential divide between our grant types. And now, if we go to see the types of grants special purpose grants that we offer this spring, Sami, I ask you to change the slide. Now, in this January round of applications, all of our regional funds offer three types of special purpose grants. They are the Vitality and Culture grants, Local Culture Project grants, and, as Timo already mentioned, Spearhead Project grants. And soon I'll give you an overview on these grant types. But before we go to the details, I also have to mention that some of our regional funds have their own individual special purpose grants. And they are the ones that we have this year are listed there. And for example, Art Together grants are offered by the Uudenmaa Regional Fund. But these vary. And if you'd like to see or find out what kind of funding opportunities you have in your region, I recommend you to go to the Finnish Cultural Foundation web pages and look through our grants search tool. You can pick your area from the search there, and there you will see the individual grants offered for you. And I have to say that these special purpose grants tend to come and go. So they might be offered for only 1 year. And for this, if nothing suits you this year, I recommend you to come back for the next round and see if something else has come up. Okay, Sami, would you please change the slide, and let's start with the first nationwide special purpose grant, the Vitality and Culture grants. This is something completely new for the foundation this year. Eligible applicants for this special purpose grant are businesses, registered organizations, and so-called sole traders, toiminimiyrittäjät, private individuals who have a sole trading type of a company. This special purpose grant is intended to support business operators working in culture. With these grants, the foundation wishes to support local cultural business activities and propel small businesses to try out things that could make them bigger and more profitable in the long run. Each of our regional funds has earmarked 30,000 euros for this purpose this spring. Let's go forward. Second type of nationwide special purpose grant are the local culture projects grants. These are intended for projects that focus on local culture or local cultural heritage that is somehow important or unique to either the whole region or a smaller part inside it, or even just a neighborhood in one city or town is possible. But nevertheless, whatever is the specific target of a local culture project, it should be something that is unique for the area and has a is interesting in a more broader level than just the exact people or persons who work with it. Under this theme, also natural environments can be considered. But we please ask that if you are a scientist doing work on cultural heritage, do not pick this special purpose grant. You should apply for a regular working grant or an expenditure grant. All right, again, let's go further. And then spearhead project grants that have been mentioned a few times already. These grants are intended for bigger projects. As you can see, the minimum amount for such a grant is 20,000 euros. In effect, maximum might be 40,000, but this can vary region by region as well. This grant type you should choose if you need larger funding than usually. So if you look up the typical grants from your region, you probably see that they tend to be a bit lower. Hence, spearhead projects, they are intended for bigger applicants, bigger projects for applicants who need bigger funding. Typically, each region can fund 1 or 2 spearhead projects. So these slides gave you just an overview on the themes that we consider under these special purposes. So to find out more about if you are eligible to apply for such a special purpose grant, I advise you to go to the Finnish Cultural Foundation's webpage, where there's a page and guidelines for each of these. And again, when you are preparing the application form in our online service for applicants, you can choose either a regular working or expenditure grant or one of these special purpose grants. And I would advise you to not choose a special purpose grant just in case, because if your project doesn't fit into the preset rules of these grant types, then it can't, win. So if your project doesn't fit into these grant types, then just choose a regular working or expenditure grant and all is well. Okay, let's go forward. My second topic today are attachments and references that you need to have to go along with your application. So here we go into the details on how to prepare and submit an application. Sami, please. Thank you. So when you prepare an application for the Finnish Cultural Foundation and its regional funds, you of course fill in the online application form and submit it, but the form itself rarely is enough. In fact, I think all of the applicants are required to provide some additional information as attachments to the online application form. And to find out which types of attachments are required from you, you should go into the foundation web pages and to the application guidelines, where we have a full list of the attachment types that are required from each applicant type. These requirements vary depending on whether you work within arts or sciences, or whether you are applying as a private individual. If you apply for a grant for a working group, or if you represent a registered organization. And as we are already accepting applications, and there's 2 weeks and roughly 2 weeks to go, if you haven't looked at the attachment requirements yet, I strongly advise you to do it as soon as possible. To do it today, because if you lack some of the required attachments, you cannot submit your application. So please do make sure that you have everything at hand before the application period ends. And I emphasize this: everything must be submitted in one go before the application period closes, and the Finnish Cultural Foundation will not accept any later additions to the applications once the period has ended. There's one exception to this rule, and this applies to those who work within sciences, those applicants who are in the process of being accepted to a doctoral study program. But I won't tell you what the exception is, because I want you to go to the web page and see for yourself what the list is. So, but let's go forward now. For all of our applicants, we like to have a detailed work plan, research plan, or a study plan as a separate attachment. And in case you are applying for an expenditure grant, you need to submit a budget as a separate file to your application. But in addition to this, you give the more detailed information as separate files. Think about the people who are going to review your application. The first thing that they are going to read about your application is the summary of your work plan. So this is a hugely important part of your application, and we strongly advise you to do your best with it. Let's go on, Sami. Now, we are often asked if we have a template for a budget. There's no, we don't have any set rules or regulations on how you should prepare the attachments. Let's say for people working within sciences, you should follow the conventions of your field of science, and for artists, just do your best. But for budgets, we'd like to have files that are as clear as possible. And here we give you an example how you could present your budget. So you could just list your income like on the left, and you could list your expenses on one side. The most important, of course, is that your income equals your expenses. And if you plan for a project that has several funding sources, we'd like to understand how everything adds up. And we'd also like to understand how you exactly intend to use the funding coming from different sources. So that's why on the example here, travel costs and material costs have been linked to the Finnish Cultural Foundation funding. Okay, let's go on. Last, I need to talk to you about references. That is letters of recommendation that you might have to have as an attachment as well. The most important thing is that the application period ends at the same time for references and for your actual applications. The preferred way to have a reference from someone who is willing to talk on your behalf is that someone uses a separate online service for referees. You need to give a so-called reference ID number to the person who is going to give you a reference. You will find this code on the first page of your online application. It's circled over there, and this reference number will be the same for even though if you work on your application on several days. So give this code to the person who is going to give you a reference, and the foundation will use the code to link the reference to your application. And if the person who you are asking this reference from cannot for some reason use our online service, it is possible for them to give you the reference as a file, and you can submit it with the other attachments. But as I said, using the online service is a preferred way.
So thank you.
We are covered, yeah.
Thanks, Erika. This was very useful. We know now what kind of special grant systems there are, and references and other types of attachments are also important. And now, finally, I will invite myself to continue. And the next topic will be evaluation of applications. And this may be something that you don't think so often when you're writing your application. Most people focus on their scientific or artistic ideas, how to present them clearly and so on. This is all very good. But in fact, you are writing the application to the people who are evaluating it. So it's very good to know what happens there after you have submitted your application. Can I have a next slide, please? So here are some general principles that are there in the background. When evaluation is being done by our experts, of course, one of the main things is that they are going to estimate the applicant's ability to implement the project. So does the applicant look competent enough to do what he or she promises? Of course, then project quality and viability are important. For us as a foundation, it is important also to think about the impact of the project, because we aim at supporting culture and in such a way that it will have an impact or influence in what kind of cultural phenomena are going to be around in the future. And then, as Erika emphasized, you must have these technical things there, all the required attachments and statements and references. Yeah. The next slide, please. So, what happens to your application when you have sent it to us at the hopefully in good time before the end of the application period? It is going to an expert panel, and the grant decisions are then being made in the local administrative committee. In Finnish, this is hoitokunta. That is consisting of regional experts. So basically, the people who are reading very carefully your application may not be part of the administrative committee, but their recommendations and statements are going to be mediated to this group of people. We use, in most cases, also outside experts in evaluating the applications, because it is impossible to have experts from all fields in our administrative committees locally. And it goes without saying that impartiality and confidentiality are there all the time in our minds. Impartiality means that we cannot have experts who are from the start biased somehow in their opinion of your application. They have to be neutral and interested in what you're doing and so on. Yeah, can I have the next slide? Yeah, this is about the important dates after the evaluation process. The decision whether it is positive or negative will be sent to you by email between April and May, depending a little bit between which of our provincial or regional funds you have applied to. And it is also important to notice that, for instance, you cannot use the grant money you get for some expenses that have taken place before the 15th of May this year. We are not going to support any expenses that have been taken place earlier. And this is also true, of course, for the expenditure grants. And you can start preparing your payment decisions and requests on the 22nd of May. But these are just practical dates. So what will happen after the process? Can I have the next slide? I will conclude this general info with some guidelines on how to write a good application. And I'm convinced that many of you know very well how to do this. But almost everybody can improve. And what I have listed here are things that we in the Cultural Foundation consider as important. Can I have a next? So, writing a good grant application needs that you are very careful, you take your time, and you will end up with an excellent application that passes the entire scientific or artistic evaluation process with top grade, and of course with the great hope of being funded eventually. Do not be too modest. At least in Scandinavia, people have been taught to be a little bit modest. Well, I'm not that good, but I have tried something and so on. But this is not the way. You have to push yourself forward and show how excellent you are. And for instance, prepare your CV carefully. Include there everything. It actually doesn't matter so much. Well, of course, it matters what there is in the CV, but you can also have other job periods there because they all show that you have been active most of the time. So follow the guidelines very carefully. And one of the guidelines that has been said, I think, a couple of times already in this info is that you cannot submit your application to more than one regional fund in the coming spring. Yeah, okay, can I have the next slide? Thank you. So, as has been said already many times, both by Päivikki and Erika, all required attachments have to be there. Otherwise, your application is not taken seriously. Well, I have here a statement that your application must fit to the funding scheme of the foundation. This is actually a more general advice. You are not supposed to send applications that are not related at all to the topic of the foundation. But in the case of Cultural Foundation, this is not relevant because all topics are relevant for us. So there are basically no limitations. We support any kind of high quality art or science. Title is very important, and we come to that in a moment. And of course, you need to write your application clearly so that it is understandable. And especially, I would emphasize the objectives. What are you doing and why? Why do you need funding? Also be feasible or realistic and specify your costs if possible. Of course, you cannot always know. If you are going to a conference, for instance, you may not know very well where the conferences after 2 years are going to be held. But anyway, include everything yet that you really know. Can I have the next? Yeah. Title and abstract, and I have written here abstract. Basically, I mean the summary. So anyway, the summary or abstract, however we call it, is very important, and so is the title. Of course, you as an applicant think that what you are doing is very interesting and important, but most of our evaluators or referees are reading the applications late at night. They have a pile of 50 applications there on the desk, and you have to make your application to look interesting. When you are tired and you can't drink coffee the whole night and so on. So an informative and catchy title is important. I have here one biological example. Jared Diamond published a paper in Nature some decades ago with the title Plant Growth, Hot Sex in Voodoo Lilies. The paper would not have been published probably without these two words, sex and voodoo. Actually, it was quite an ordinary and even uninteresting paper, but the main point was that when a pollen grain of a plant arrives at the stigma of the pistil of the female part of the plant, you can measure a very, very tiny temperature increase. So that was the hot sex. But anyway, this kind of title catches your eye. I understand very well that, for instance, if you're a mathematician, it is not as easy to get this kind of titles, but try your best. And abstract or summary is extremely important because in many cases it may be the only part of your application that is read. The evaluators are very busy and they will decide based on your abstract whether the topic is interesting enough to pursue. I would say that spending 1 or 2 days writing your summary is a well spent time because it is so important part of your application. Can I have the next? Yeah, well, I'm repeating just what Erika already told. Budget is very important. Be realistic. People often think that it is better to send a little bit smaller application that I in fact need because maybe I will have better chances of getting funded. But the evaluators will see immediately whether you're applying too little money, because if you apply too small sum of money for your work, and it is obvious that you cannot get things done with that amount of money, your project is not realistic and it will not be funded. So you must apply enough money to really be able to achieve what you promise. Also, and this is true especially for the very high quality grants, which of course you are now preparing, be specific. If you are going to a conference and if you happen to know the name of it, please tell it in the application because it gives a realistic image on what you are writing. If you need laboratory equipment, make a list of them. If you need for a theater installation some stuff to the platform, explain what are you going to need. Be rather specific. It is very good and makes you look convincing. And if you are going to include travel costs also, try to estimate them as accurately as possible. The next one, please. Yep. And now I'm repeating what Eric already said about the letters of reference. In the scientific applications for PhD students, they are actually compulsory, but even postdocs quite often have them in their application. A reference letter is written by somebody who is supervising you or knows what you have been doing and can therefore give a reliable statement on the quality of your work. But many of these people, they are quite often senior people. They are very busy. They are all the time in the meetings and have their own work to do. At least my own professor said me when I was a graduate student that, well, Timo, you have to write the reference letter yourself. I just sign it. I'm not saying that this is the way to do, or to some professors may not like it, or some senior colleagues may not like it, but you can offer to write a draft, maybe to make a list of things that you would like to see there included. Of course, the referee will then decide himself or herself what is going to be there included. Not only in sciences, but also in arts, these can be important. And I also repeat the same things as Päivikki and Erika said, that the deadline for the references is the same as for the application as a whole. Yeah, can I have the next? Well, there are two things in this slide. Take your time. Writing a grant proposal will take probably much longer than what you expect. An evaluator usually sees within a couple of minutes whether the application has been written the previous night or whether it has been prepared properly in a longer period of time. So take your time. And then a very practical and important thing is that when you are completed, you have to check the application. You have to submit it. If you don't do that, all your effort has been in vain because nothing can be done after the closing of the application period if you have failed to submit your application. You're not going to get any email to confirm that your application has been arrived, but you can see that in the online system that the status of your application has changed. Next, please. Yeah, next slide. I think there are a couple still left, and time is running out, but we can manage. Can you submit change the? They are just very practical things about our guideline links and so on. So to summarize, please read the guidelines carefully. You will find basically the same things as what we have been here explaining in the info, and you need to sign into the online service for the applicants, and so remember the deadline and start working early enough. And I know that there have been questions arriving there in the whole time during this info. You have also chat. Hopefully, has been used. But I would like to remind you that you can also send us questions later, and our staff in the regional funds and in the central fund are more than willing to help you in your exciting period of writing the application. And I think that there might be a possibility. I wondered whether I am correct to get some question here to this info. We have a few minutes still time. What do you say, Anu?
Yes, thank you, Timo, Päivikki, and Erika. We have here a few minutes. So, Timo just told us about what kind of good application is, but the language issue. If you are using English in your application, so how about the title?
Well, title is very important, of course, as I said, because the idea of the title is to catch the attention of the evaluator of your application. Yeah, I guess you mean that the Finnish title. Yeah.
Yes.
Yes. Okay, you have been writing your application in English and you need a Finnish title. You can ask a Finnish colleague or friend to translate it. I guess there are also a lot of Google translator programs and so on, but they can sometimes be very funny. I would advise to use some native Finnish speaker to help you with the title. Yeah.
Okay, and maybe the last one question. We have a few minutes here. So, what about the EI? Can I use EI in my current application? And does the Finnish Cultural Foundation use EI to evaluate applications?
Well, I can pick this one, Timo. Well, AI tools are quite widely used nowadays, so there's no point forbidding them. Well, checking grammar or spelling might be a good idea, or you can use carefully translation tools, always checking, of course, that they are correct. But what we and our experts are asking is that you let your personality, your enthusiasm, your passion show through your text so that your application stands out from the crowd. Isn't that so, as Timo said? So don't use AI just to produce meaningless AI crap. So you can use it, but wisely. About the use of AI in Finnish Cultural Foundation, Foundation does not use AI in evaluation nor decision processes. It is not used in the language model training either. So no evaluation, no decision, no language training process. Every single application is handled with absolute confidentiality, and the evaluation is made by experts in the fields of science and arts. That's our policy.
Thank you, Päivikki. Time has run out for this info, and I thank you all for participating. It has been a pleasure to have you listening to our info. And the only thing I can say is good luck with your application. Thank you and bye.